Monsters We Make has got to be the most single-handedly creative piece of comic media that I have ever laid my eyes on. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan of Corey Kenshin. I was joking in the beginning, a little bit. Okay, let me make this clear. So I just read Monsters We Make not too long ago, and after breezing through each chapter, I must say, overall, I was impressed. Impressed in the sense that a YouTuber who has always had an interest in anime took the time to put this story together, and it seems completely fleshed out when it comes to style and world building. Also, given the fact that Corey is a Christian YouTuber, it was nice to see that he still implements his faith into the story. Not that I would expect him not to, but it's a choice, you know? And for him to include it in all aspects of what he does is simply nice to see. I respect it. Anyway, on to the story. I won't say too much given the fact that he already mentioned the synopsis of the overall story in one of his videos, but I will break down quick synopsises of each chapter, and if you're interested, you can support him and all of that. I will point out what each chapter focused on without giving away too much, and then telling what I liked and what I didn't like. Which, let me just warn you, I can be quite petty with certain things. If I don't like something as small as maybe a background character, I might go on mini rambles, but don't take them too seriously. They're just pet peeves, if anything, that don't really affect the overall story. Anyway, let's go. So chapter 1 of Monsters We Make is called Enter the New Mid-Year, which is an obvious tell introducing the main character, while tying in the essential plot of the story. I wasn't mad at the introduction at all. Within just a few pages, you're able to see and read what is going on with the world within the story. A certain calamity befell humanity, and now this world has monsters among men, and people that take care of those monsters. Think of demon slayers, basically. You're introduced to the plot and world. Then see the monsters. You're introduced to the monsters by first introducing side characters. That's only fulfillment to the story, is just to highlight how dangerous these monsters are. Then, of course, we jump to our main character. Jabari is on a train ride to his new school, making it to that said school, and then the chapter ends when he runs into what will obviously be his new friends. It's a solid start to a story. As I start, I will say I like the art style. I feel like it's a perfect blend of anime and cartoonish, but of course leaning more towards anime. The appearance of our main character is cool. He obviously embodies the exaggerated swagger of a black young teen, and that gives me high hopes as the reader of a similar exaggerated swagger. The story is pretty easy enough to follow and gives a bit of mystery to the details of the calamity that brought about this new world, and apparently what the world is hiding from the masses. Also, I like her. Solid chapter. Now, what I didn't like about this chapter, I didn't like the introduction of the throwaway characters only because, given the plot, they went to investigate a monster without weapons, which is essentially a suicide mission. But given what happens amongst the team in the moment of being amongst the monster, you get the impression that it was their active choice to go get this information. But now they're shocked because the monster is powerful and dangerous. Shouldn't they have known that? Now, after reading the whole story and then rereading the chapter, I was thinking, were they sent there on purpose just to die? Their attitudes in the moment are cautious, but they don't seem like they know it's going to be their last mission, just that it could be a potentially dangerous one. So their employer being secretly evil was immediately scratched off my list of potential plot points. But still, the situation they were in is no different to me than when Lord Farquaad sent Shrek and Donkey to the Dragon's Tower to save Fiona. Farquaad didn't give them any gear to survive or to take down the threat of the dragon. He left them with what they already had, because he expected them to go there and never come back. So I'm confused as to why these characters even bothered to show up to investigate a monster when, given what they should know, that, you know, the majority of society seemingly doesn't. These monsters are dangerous. This team are, like I said, essentially demon slayers, and they're in a secret war with these monsters that at this point know who they are. With that being said, I am so confused as to how this dumb fuck decided to audibly let out that he was investigating. Would it have been too difficult to put your fancy future phone on mute, pretending you were texting as most people do, grab your snacks from this, I don't know, 7-Eleven and leave once the phone finished scanning that there were, in fact, monsters present? The team knows that none of their teammates are the monster, so it would have to be the shopkeeper. Then, I mean, if they would have done what I'm saying, they could have pulled back, let their team know about what they learned, what they scanned, and then pulled back up at the 7-Eleven with an army. Especially since in the beginning the monster didn't threaten them. I was just extremely confused by the lack of covertness from this team. That should have been covert, considering the secret war that they're in, but I digress. I'm aware that this was a way to introduce the threat of monsters. I just don't see why this couldn't have been a monster eating disrespectful customers, and one of the customers in the store could have been one of the demon slayers and simply died in the crossfire for being a witness to the monster killing a disrespectful customer. That would have been a great way to highlight being unarmed while being a part of a secret army, etc., to me at least, while also hammering home the point that was just being made, about how dangerous the monsters are. But, I mean, whatever. Other than that, it didn't really ruin what else the chapter had to offer overall, so there's that. Rest in peace, Alina from Street Fighter. Now, on to the next chapter. The Great Halls of New Eden. This chapter simply further explores 𝕬𝕚𝕝𝕝𝕝, his new potential friends, and a bit of backstory when it comes to him being accepted to New Eden, as well as his impression of the school and staff. The staff at New Eden want to retest 𝕬𝕚𝕝𝕝, which gives him the impression that they think he's cheated and that he didn't earn his way into the school, as well as a bit more backstory as to why he's working so hard to be there and hints at his abilities. This chapter was nothing but informative when it comes to the world building and shaping of the characters and story. It wasn't bad. It wasn't too text heavy given what you learn, and it introduces new characters such as the dean and her secretary and some random bully that has too much detail to be a minor character in my opinion, but we'll see in the future, I guess. Anyways, what I liked about this chapter was the information given. It tells you a lot without telling you too much, essentially dragging you along to be interested in the story. What I didn't like is that having a straightforward mission of expanding and building the story left a lot to be desired in the sense of entertainment, but given the settings, there's not much one can do in the halls of a fancy school, and throughout comic book / manga history, not every manga info dump is an action-packed banger, so this is a small nitpick. Now, what I really didn't like was this silhouetted figure purposely blacked out as if we don't know who this is. Like, really? I wonder who this could be. Don't piss me off. But yeah, other than that, really nice info dump. The next chapter is the aptitude test. This chapter was super straightforward as well, basically a part 2 to the prior chapter, with 𝕬𝕚𝕝𝕝 being retested, when in actuality he's being evaluated, as well as introducing characters of the New Eden Police Department, even more characters in 𝕬𝕚𝕝𝕝's friend circle, and the invitation to the truth. What I liked about this chapter is, like most main characters with the exaggerated swagger of a black teen, 𝕬𝕚𝕝𝕝 knocks everything out of the park, leaving those left watching speechless. But on a serious note, I do like how effortlessly cool this character is, from his hairstyle to what he's doing to even random stills of him putting on his jacket. Like, at first, I was like, this is kind of extra, but a second after, I was like, okay, he's got that shit on. Like, I can't even lie. The attention to make 𝕬𝕚𝕝𝕝 a cool main character is really nice, because it's not forced at all. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was roasting him when I first read it, saying he wanted to be 𝔼𝕟𝕛𝕠𝕪𝕚𝕟 so damn bad, but at the same time, I was just taking jabs. I'm honestly impressed with how he's portrayed, because he can be both cool and kinda dorky and relatable at the same time. What I didn't like was this character. Unlike the bully of the school, who's mad aggressive, which I guess I shouldn't call him a bully because he didn't really do anything. He's just mad at everything, and I get it. I'd be mad if I was in New Eden too, but like, she has no real reason to be aggressive and insulting to 𝔬𝕝 at this point in time. But don't get me wrong, I get that this type of character is an anime trope, and eventually this character is going to come around and be nice and whatever, but this shit is played out, dude. Like, she's literally Bakugo just mad at nothing. But, I mean, I gave grace to this guy, so she can be mad too. But I just don't get how she's like mad at 𝔬𝕝 specifically. Why is he an idiot now? Like, good God. Like, I'm not even playing. This isn't even a joke. Like, I hate mad, aggressive characters that just wake up mad. Every time I see them in anime, shows, cartoons, whatever, I'm just side-eyeing them like Cat Williams, because why did you wake up mad? Like, what is the reason? Like, I'm telling you, I seriously rejoiced when Bakugo died in Boku no Hero. So these types of characters just get on my nerves. They serve no point other than to be confrontational to their allies. Honestly, if these characters do not have a backstory like Sanemi from Demon Slayer, I don't care, bro. I don't want to hear it. Like, perish. For real. Also, I don't like this character, but we'll get into that later. Truth versus escape. This chapter revolves around the very real reality that 𝔬𝕝 is in that he wasn't aware of before. He is being informed and educated about monsters that he didn't know walked among him or even existed, and seeing how much of a threat they are while being left with no choice. I mean, his choices are to either fight them or run away, but mind you, while he's seeing visuals of what happens to the teens that fail at fighting these things, he's also being told that running away means sacrificing his family's livelihood as well as his own. So yeah, he basically has no real choice here. This chapter had a lot going on in it. More information about monsters, the very real reality the students of New Eden are shouldered with, as well as what characters on the other side don't know about the monsters roaming around New Eden. What I liked about this chapter is how quickly things began to pick up, given story pacing while also highlighting the risks of all characters involved, which brings me to also like the title of this chapter, as I feel it is aptly named Truth versus Escape, because the reality is there is no escape from the very real truth that humanity is faced with, and the chosen few are forced to confront it. What's crazy too is that it seems like the chosen few are mainly teenagers. I already talked about the art too, but I just want to add that the artists were doing work when it came to the expressions of the characters when confronted with dire situations. You can see the fear and just despair they're faced with. Granted, some of the expressions can get a bit janky, like this one. Maybe I watched too much Gintama, but this looks like she found, like, I don't know, a pile of shit in her pancakes or something and is screaming about it, like on some comedy anime, like, type shit, but, like, you know what I mean. But that's just me. It's not bad, though. Either way, you can tell that this is where the story is going to pick up. What I didn't like? There wasn't really anything I didn't like about this chapter. I just looked forward to seeing what would happen next. I mean, I still don't like this guy, if that counts. Oh, and also, I don't like these things being called leakers. Like, the monsters are called leakers. Like, that made me think of someone with uncontrollable diarrhea for some reason. Don't make fun of me. I'm not Ice Spice or anything, but I mean, I did make 2 shit jokes already, so it's not looking good for me right now. All right, on to the next chapter. Sound barrier. This chapter is one of perspective, showing how monsters are made while also highlighting the first scenes of fighting and action within the story. Most of the pages highlight our main characters fighting against the monster of the day and just how difficult it is to take these things down. This chapter is pretty straightforward. There's not that much dialogue, but a lot of highlights on the action panels, which I wasn't mad at. Another thing I wasn't mad at was the explorations on how it seems monsters are made. It looks to me that when under stress or negative emotion, a regular person can just evolve into one of these things. I feel like there was a dialogue bubble that mentioned that in the last chapter, but I don't know. I can't recall. Anyway, what I liked. I like the action scenes, obviously. It was really well put together without being too confusing. My biggest concern was looking over the art, like whether there was, too many speed lines, or if things would get too confusing, and if the speed lines might take away from what was going on in the fight. Yeah. Kaioken to the max in this current chapter. Not that it's a bad thing, I had my concern, but I was impressed with the overall line work and how perfectly paced the action was. Not to mention the random highlight of the monster's pet scorpion and how that's what he morphed to be. So I have to wonder if there's something in the psyche of characters who become monsters, and if within their psyche or their interests, like that manifests as to what they're going to be if they do become a monster. Not gonna lie, it reminds me of the 90s version of Sailor Moon when the people who are corrupted by the Negaforce turn into monsters of their interest. So like a lady who happens to be an artist is then turned into a monster that can draw more monsters and wreak havoc or something like that. What I didn't like isn't too crazy, but let me just say this. I did not like this character's backstory. And I'm not talking about not liking it from a creative stance. I'm not bothered by what Corey and his team chose when writing this as a backstory. I'm saying I didn't like it. I don't know how to really articulate it effectively. I just know that this character was frustrating. Like, apparently, in his backstory, from what you see, he's apparently married. His wife clocks every time he comes home early from work, which tells me that she doesn't have a job, so she must be a stay-at-home mom. But judging from the dingy apartment they live in, I'm wondering why she doesn't have a job too. If they both worked, they'd have enough money for a better place of living, which would at least be great for their kid. But hey, if they decided to be or have a traditional marriage, then yeah, cool. But it seems like the problems produced by this couple is simply because they want a lifestyle that they literally cannot maintain. I get there's people that have traditional values, and clearly these characters are like that, but like, why? Apparently this dude has ran through 3 jobs in a month, and the wife is just sitting around getting pissed because he can't seem to find the right job or keep it. But they're at a point where they're about to get kicked out of their apartment as well. Also, let me just repeat that. 3 jobs within a month? So when he gets fired, he gets a new one like almost immediately. That's like a new job every week. That already tells me that the job market is immaculate in this world, so big ups to that. But I'm wondering how, like, I don't know. My first impression of this character being introduced was the fact that it seemed he was pretty awkward at his T-Mobile job. No faults to him there. But then when this annoying customer kind of shit on him for showing her a phone that I guess she already had in the past, it just made him look like a sympathetic character. Because why would the customer allow for him to talk to her about a phone that she's already had if she's already had it? But I mean, I get it. Customers are annoying, and I wouldn't put it past anyone in real life to have actually done this. So yeah, I do not miss retail. But yeah, then his boss gets mad that he's not a mind reader apparently and didn't know the woman already had the phone that he was showing. But yeah, this guy can't do anything right apparently. But this was like a really, like, I don't know, this was weird. Anyway, him not doing anything right is also solidified by him and his wife's argument here, where the wife is just tearing this guy a new asshole, and the anger and stress brimming here reveals the mark, igniting his morphing into a monster. It was frustrating to see, but that's kind of a good thing, because I was emotionally invested in this dude's backstory and what went on to incite the mark. Also, I still hate this guy. I'm going to tell you why soon, I just want to remind you. Like, he just wants to be Vash the Stampede so bad. And, like, this dude wants to be Noctis Lucius Callum so bad, too. Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, the next chapter is follow the leader. So after 𝔬𝕝𝕝 levels half a city block fighting that monster, it runs away, and the main gang has to run into the sewers and the remnants of Old Eden to find him. 𝔬𝕝𝕝 isn't taking any disrespect. Certain characters want to disrespect him. He gets humbled, and the pals scream it out, eventually to bond. And then they find the monster and track it down. This is more of an exposition chapter to help the team get on the same page when it comes to this sudden mission. Straightforward, nothing too confusing. I like the little drops of lore here and there when it came to the Eternal Night and what happened at that time. Now, even though I would have loved more information on that, this chapter was clearly intended to help bridge these characters together, which was alright. What I didn't like was 𝔬𝕝𝕝 himself. And y'all already know I don't like Bakugo 2.0, but them arguing in the middle of a sewer in the middle of a dangerous mission was insane. Like, y'all are on a mission. Is this not life or death? I don't know. There was something about the dialogue in this chapter that made me kind of want to roll my eyes. Maybe because it seemed like it wasn't synced. Like, hear me out. Why was 𝔬𝕝𝕝 acting all cool with his timely appearance, trying so hard to be Tuxedo Mask with the moon in the background, showing off, dare I say, too much swagger of a black teen in the previous chapter, only to then have a mental breakdown amongst the group in this one? Let me go. I don't care about any of this. I just want to go home. Like, bro, don't you think we all want to go home? Like, what is this? Oh my God. I came to the school because I'm the best at what I do. No one in my family has ever done anything like that. They gave up so much to see me shine. Now you've put me in an impossible position. I'm going to fail everyone. I'm going to fail them. Like, brother, what the heck happened? Then after he lets his feelings out and calms down, he says, wow, you guys are like me too. And it's like, boy, duh. Didn't the dean show you fellow students getting absolutely destroyed by some monsters like a couple of hours ago? Did you think they were students of another school? You couldn't have, because you were literally just yelling at the dean as to why she was making students do this. So what would prompt you to even say this? Why would the people you're on a team with not have a similar situation to you and they go to the same school as you? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know why Bakugo still has this fucked up attitude and gives 𝔬𝕝𝕝 a hard time, especially in the current life or death situation. Like, everyone on the squad is assumably in the same situation where they're being forced to do this, but like, I don't get what's going on with this character other than them just being an asshole. I say that, and yet I can't wait to see everyone's backstories if they do have one. Anyway, another thing I didn't like about the dialogue of this chapter was how, when the infighting was starting, the apparent leader, Liam, was allowing it until things were escalating too much. He says he needs this, which set me off because he needs what? To be humble, to let out his frustration. Like, clarify why is this needed, especially now in the middle of the sewer, in the middle of the old Eden ruins, while a dangerous monster is about. I don't get why this is necessary here and now. I just don't see how, this would be productive within the enemy layer. Like, I don't know. And then when 𝔬𝕝𝕝 is basically like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just let you die, and things get like super heated and like him and Bakugo are about to kill each other or whatever, then everybody wants to step in and stop the fight. Nah, let him fight and have this snake film it. Anyway, the last thing I hated is the obvious New World slang. Like, I don't know, I've never felt forced to feel like more of a dinosaur than I actually am in this panel. Like, I know Ice Down is like chill out, but this other shit makes my ass itch, I'm not gonna lie. Still, overall solid chapter. I was definitely engaged. Okay, so now we're at As Above, So Below. In this chapter, the team has to split up to find the monster hidden in Old Eden. This chapter mainly highlights the abilities of the team's characters while info dumping on how people's abilities work, especially in conjunction with their super suits. Eventually, they end up finding the monster and Bakugo is sent to fight it. Now, don't get me wrong, I hate Bakugo, but I ain't mad at her. Like, sometimes she's doing her thing. I'm not entirely mad. The things I liked this chapter were definitely the info dump as to how powers worked, but I especially liked this solid word bubble, basically letting you know that kids born during the calamity known as the Eternal Night are gifted with these abilities. This is essentially why kids are put on this mission to fight monsters and why there aren't any adults fighting. At least that's what I'm getting from this word bubble. I could be wrong, but hey. It seems like the monsters have been hiding for a while. Most of these teens are probably 15 to 17, so yeah, almost 20 years of hiding or blending in after the Eternal Night, and they plan on showing themselves to the world, it seems. I also like the bits and pieces here that reveal things about the characters and their motivation. It makes you want to know more. And yeah, now let me get to what I didn't like, but more importantly, why I don't like this bitch ass, bum ass, Vash the Stampede, great value version of that white boy best friend in Static Shock looking ass bum. This panel right here. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Do you get why I'm mad? Okay. Now, when I first read it, I was like, okay, he's the tech dude. He knows stuff, right? But what I didn't tell you is this group is called Team Alpha, right? Where did we see this before? That's right, the beginning. The tech dude that I believe these characters in the beginning are referencing is this guy. Nimbus, so what? Why are you mad that the tech guy sent the minor characters to their death? Well, you kind of just said it. That's one. But I'll tell you, Goofy, because 10 seconds into them actually talking, he shows off one of the things he made to help him on his missions. These floating little cube things that not only act as a portable light, but scans for anomalies. Do you see where I'm going with this? Why did the tech guy give this team any type of info about a market in which they assumed an anomaly or monster was there when he could have just sent one of his cubes? This thing can't work remotely in whatever futuristic future that they're in. This dude can't send his mini cube drone to do reconnaissance. I don't believe it. Nothing's adding up. I think he's evil as fuck. Why send 3 people to their deaths when you could have just sent in a cube drone? And if the monster would have attacked it or whatever, like, you would know. You would know you were right about the information that you gave this team. This dude is so suspicious. After I read that panel, like, I can't help but shake my head. We lost a character from Street Fighter because of him. Are you kidding me? I hate this guy. No lie. And I think he's bad. Like, you will never get me to like this guy. Truly. That's it. Period. Okay, so the final chapter is First Day Kill. This chapter is pretty straightforward as well. Jabari and friends come together to defeat the monster we've been introduced to with the power of coordination and teamwork. They defeat him unscathed while also revealing that upon defeat, underneath these monsters are still men, which visibly shakes Jabari. Not to mention the hard work and danger that he and his team are ultimately in will always be hidden in the shadows of reality. The team then leaves the scene to then reconnect at a McDonald's to hang out and make fun of the worst character on Earth. Everyone is acting lighthearted and upbeat while ultimately making fun of great value Vash. As they point and laugh, they highlight the true character that they don't really know. This is the face of a boy who will betray you all. Anyway, Jabari shows up to hang out. Everyone is surprised, which is odd considering Jabari is still a new student at New Eden and they are the closest things to friends that he's got. And yeah, then after joking and laughing some more, the friends at the end of the day take the worst picture ever because everybody looks cool except for this guy. Then we get a highlight of some cloaked individual spying on Jabari. I honestly like this chapter and the character's very real reaction to their reality. It seems like after a fight with monsters is a grim reminder that it is life or death for these kids and the world will never really know the real reason. Not to mention that on the inside, these monsters are people, which creates a very somber atmosphere to the story. Still, despite all of that, these characters have decent interactions and character chemistry. I don't know why, but I really enjoy September's chemistry with both Liam and Jabari. It's very cute and sisterly. At least that's what I gather. Plus, they look good together, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, y'all already know who I didn't like. There wasn't much else to dislike about this chapter, considering it was a clear, aftermath of the first battle for Jabari, and they wrapped it up nicely with the team hanging out. I do have a question, though. Why does this fucking freak have glasses where he can see through people's clothes? Why is the Mineta of the group sitting at the table when he has Google glasses that could see through your clothes? Why would he even have that? What even is the purpose? And I mean, he says he's used to being clowned by the normal friends, but then his first instinct for the new guy is to put on his Google glasses to see through his shit to do what? To say what? You're gonna roast his junk in front of everyone else? Why would you even... Is that not sus of you? Why would that be your first move? This is why I don't like this character. This character does not think things through. Something's not right in this person's head. Something's not right with this character. It's honestly, fuck this character until the end of this series. I'm serious. This character is just odd. I hate him to the very nucleus of my atoms. And I mean that. I'm not joking. Anyway, overall, Monsters We Make wasn't a bad story. I remember Corey saying that there was a lot to read in comparison to most manga volumes, but as I was reading it, it didn't feel like a lot at all. I want to say I flew through it in probably 30 to 45 minutes, and it was an entertaining read. Very proud of my Shogun for going after his dreams of wanting to work on something like this, and honestly, this wasn't a bad start at all. I look forward to more volumes, and I am manifesting that for Corey. I think it's entertaining enough. I think these characters are cool, except for the one you guys already know. And yeah. Anyway, Monsters We Make was a bit of a banger. I look forward to what comes next. Hopefully you guys liked the video. Tell me what you thought of it in the comments. Do you think I'm right to hate Vash? I don't think so. But whatever, talk to me. Let me know.